right? So this is kind of one of the things that they were asking about here in the sheet that I had a moment ago, where we were talking about shrimping and we kind of left out those details of wouldn't say that we left anything out. It's just maybe I can emphasize this a little bit more. So I'm digging that bottom leg in, right? I could be digging the top leg in, leaving the bottom leg straight. I wouldn't necessarily do it vice versa, but I tend to like feet together personally. You do what feels most comfortable and what's most effective and what the situation calls for, right? So my hands are in, and let's go ahead and try this first, okay? I just want you to go ahead and dig your toes in and get up, right? So my hips are off the ground. See all the space here. And we're just gonna, for right now, we're just gonna make it a little bit big, and then you're gonna dial it back. Because when you do this, it really is that, right? You could hear my hips plop down, right? I'm not dragging. You hear that dragging noise. I don't want that, right? So for right now, let's go ahead and get our shoulders, knees, everything in this little fetal position as much as we can, and kind of just get those hips up in the air. Okay? Because this is what it is, right? So when we're shrimping, we are alternating what points of pressure that we have on the mat. And there are, like, you either have two posts or you have your hip, if that makes any sense. So when I'm pushing out in the shrimp, here's a post, there's a post, and I'm getting my butt off the ground. And the thing is that in any position, in any part of life, your hips and your shoulders are either going to be standing in a line, right, which is going to offer you very little mobility, or when your shoulders move forward, your hips have to move back, and vice versa, right? So I'm going to be pushing back, getting my butt in the air, right? Now I plant my hips on the ground, and I come back in that fetal position. So if we look at it from this side, right, butt goes out, boom, plant, and then shoulders go back, but the butt stays in place. So my weight is here on my hip as I'm bringing my shoulders and my legs back into that starting position. Shoop, boom, and I'm alternating that. Now, one thing that was brought up here, and there are times that you're going to do this, is the shrimping with alternating sides, right? And so one way that shrimping is taught, and I'm kind of on the fence on this, to be completely honest. And the reason being is that usually shrimp's going to happen when you're trying to escape from, maybe you're trying to back out from a half guard position, right? You're on the bottom, you're trying to get out so that you can maybe re-guard, or you can take the back or whatever, or somebody's passing your guard and you're trying not to get landed in side control, so you're going to be using the shrimping. So shrimping, a lot of times, in my opinion, kind of stays on one side, so that's kind of the reason why I didn't start with an alternating shrimp, but I've been to schools where that's all that they emphasized with this was this alternating shrimp. And there is this back and forth that happens in jiu-jitsu where you're going to have to be able to move your weight and move sides. I don't know that it's necessarily relevant at this moment in time, but the person that made this comment is much higher ranked than I am, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and put this in, just to understand that in my opinion, that it's going to be, you should practice. You should at least practice the single side shrimping down the mats, right? So what I'm going to do here, I'm going to get on my side, push out, and then kind of go back into that reverse shrimp to get back on your back, fall onto your other side, push out, back, and push, and back. All right? And go ahead and just practice that a little bit. But I would definitely still be practicing the same side shrimping, and just go ahead and incorporate that in if you'd like. Now, one thing that does tend to get neglected in some jiu-jitsu schools, in fact, 2 of the 3 jiu-jitsu schools that I've been to, is the break fall. And this was another thing that he had mentioned, which is the technical rise, which is in every single martial art known to man, there is some form of a technical rise. So, for break fall first, right? Because if you are going to be starting from standing, you need to understand what it means to fall and how to fall right. So when we fall, the worst thing you can possibly do is try to catch yourself. Most of the times when people injure their like a wrist or a shoulder or something like that, or their radius and ulna here, is because they try to catch themselves as they're falling. Maybe they'll lock out their elbow, the elbow's going to invert, it's going to shatter, it's going to have problems, it's going to dislocate. All kinds of things that can happen because you try to catch yourself. So when you fall back, and that's, to me, one of the biggest things about the break fall is learning not to catch yourselves. And the reaction when you feel yourself trying to go over should be to ball up, right? And when I ball up, it's not just my arms. I'm actually coming into this rounded, horrible grandma would slap me posture, right? Because I want to be rounded. So if you think about, like, if you jump into a pool and you are a plank, right? So you're falling straight down into that pool, that's going to hurt like crazy, right? It's your belly flop, it's going to suck. If you were to kind of try to get one point in first and then arch through, then you're going to have a much better time. And the other thing is that by going from this crunched position to a flat out position, as we would do in a break fall, we are basically becoming like a drunk person in a car accident. So when you get into a car accident, if you're tense up, right, in the point of the accident, you're more likely to have serious injuries that come from that accident. Whereas if you're drunk at the time, you're just going to have that slow reaction time, and you're and you're a lot less likely to actually get hurt because of that. And that's kind of the same thing that we're trying to do when we're teaching a break fall. So from here, I'm going to be butt close to the mat, and I'm going to be in this kind of rounded, crunched position, right? And I want you to go ahead and just fall back and slap the mat. And feel free to slap the mat hard, right? So I'm going here, and I'm slapping out. So, low squat for right now. Notice my chin. It's tucked. I don't want to have that whiplash here. I will get knocked out. That's why when people do flying arm bars, flying triangles in tournaments, a lot of times they end up losing because they've followed their head and then knocked themselves out. Same thing can happen here, so keep that chin tucked. So, again, low squat, fall back, go. When I get into this position, we're going into the technical rise now. I'm going to straighten out my right leg, and I'm going to have my other hand up to kind of protect. If somebody's trying to come at me in a self-defense situation, they might try to be kicking me in the head or whatever. So I'm going to have this hand out to kind of protect. I'm going to post this other hand behind me. I'm going to get my hips off the ground, see that leg is floating. And one thing that I saw at one school that I completely disagree with, when somebody was technical rising, they went like this. Okay? What's going to happen? You're going to get sprawled on, you're going to get kneed in the face. You're not protected in any way, shape, or form if you do that. Please don't do that. My eyes stay up on my opponent. My hand is blocking that opponent. And a lot of times when I teach technical rise, because the point of this one is to create space, right? I'm not on the offensive right now. I'm on the defenses, so I want to get away from my partner. So I'm going to be here, and my eyes were up, my hands were up, and I actually did a little scoot back because they're probably coming at me at that time, and I need to create that space as quickly as possible. So from the front, I've fallen down, I did my little slap, and I'm here. Okay, I got that foot forward, I got that hand and opposite leg posted. Hand is up, I'm looking up at my opponent. I keep my eyes on my opponent, and I scoot back as I shoot this leg back, right? So it's just that movement there, right, is incredibly important. And the guy who had emailed me had said that, this is related to stripping, and it kind of is, right? Because I've got those two hinging points on the ground, and I'm moving my hips independently of those 2 points. So you have two pivots, and then one part that's able to move because of those 2 points, right? So I'm here, shoot back, and slide. And when I slide, my eyes are up, my hands are ready, right? I might get to this position, and if they're standing up tall and they're, like, oh, okay, we're starting over, I might be able to go down from that low single. I've got options that come up from that, but really the point is to kind of create that distance and to recover from that takedown. All right, this video was long. We're going to go ahead and go on to our review here in 1 second.